University of Cannabis, subtitled The Ultimate Guide for Teaching Modern Spit, how to tongue twist, how to enunciate certain shit, how to control your breath, how to make your syllables spit. Y'all niggas ain't listen to this, I'm killing with shit, I'm wicked.
You know, my question is, would you want to be Floyd Money Mayweather, the best boxer of our generation today? 46-0, 26 knockouts. He makes over $30 million each fight for just fighting 36 minutes. What do you want to be, Floyd Money Mayweather? If you don't know who I am, I'm T-Street Controversy. I call this show T-Street Controversy Live. We're going to talk about Showtime All Access, Episode 1. August the 30th, 2014 is when it will be airing. In this amount of time, 15 to 20 minutes, we're going to run down the whole story of Floyd Money Mayweather. Not only before May the 3rd, 2014 in his first fight against Maidana, which I thought was a draw, but from then until now, with about 32, 33 days before the fight actually happens. Right now, it is August the 10th, 2014. I'm T-Street Controversy, T-Street Controversy Live. I cover every single major fight live, every single episode of Showtime All Access, moments after it goes off, every single episode of HBO 24/7, moments after it goes off, live and uncut. This is what I do. So, if you don't know, Floyd Money Mayweather is the best boxer of this generation, the most lucrative boxer of this generation. Before him, you could say it was Oscar De La Hoya. Before that, you can say it was Mike Tyson. You get where I'm going with this? So right now, him being on top of the sport, you know what I don't like? You know what really, really I do not like? I don't like rich people with money and no education. Because sometimes they seem to forget where they come from. For example, a guy like Justin Bieber, I can't stand him. You know why? Because he's just a young dickhead. Ain't never been through nothing in his life. You know, he always had money, and now he's trying to turn into some goon. You know, I see a guy like Floyd Mayweather. You got all the bodyguards. You got all the women. You got all the money. But you can't be told no. You can't be told no, and you have to ask yourself the question, and you have to bear with me because it's very late at night, and my watch is still broken. 1:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, August 10th, 2014. I'm under the weather. The man is not happy. He can portray himself to be happy. When I covered every single episode of All Access for Mayweather versus Maidana, the first fight, I said, he's showing off for Miss Jackson. That's all that is. You know, when he talks about the life, those 3 episodes were focused on Mayweather's money, his wealth, his cars, his women, and what was portrayed to us to be the life. Having money and spending it on yourself for lavish things and spending it on other people. Money team. What is the money team? You say money team is a group of people who spend lots of money, watches, clothing, bags, cars, boutiques, restaurants, apartments. No telling God knows what else is being paid for. But when you ask yourself the question of who's paying for all this stuff, are these masseuses or personal assistants? Who is paying them and how much are they getting paid? Where's the money coming from? Who's buying the watches and who's buying all the cars for everyone? Who's buying all the boutiques and all that stuff? Floyd Money Mayweather. Now what I'm trying to get to here, what I'm trying to talk about here is the formula of African American athletes who go broke. Floyd Money Mayweather is following the formula, paying for a large entourage, the legal issues, the persona, the ego, the gambling, and the list goes on. He's feeling, he's doing exactly what they've all done. The Latrell Sprewells, I'm not even going to say, they're going to start naming names. Antoine Walker's, the list goes on and on and on, of African American athletes who 10, 20 years after their careers were over, some even 5, 3, they talk about, yeah, I had about 30 cars. I had 3 houses in Miami. I had a small island. Man, I had 3 private jets. You know what I'm talking about when you see those documentaries about those athletes who go broke. Do you want to see that for Floyd Mayweather? Now, let me stop right there. Let me talk about this. There's a word that's often thrown around when I do my videos. They say, you're a hater. You don't want to see a black man make money. You don't want to see a black man succeed. You're an Uncle Tom Coon, whatever they call me. But really, I'm probably one of the most freest person, one of the most liberated people that you would ever see. Because you know why? I don't ever want to meet Floyd Mayweather. I don't ever want to shake his hand. If he gave me a t-shirt and say, hey, TstreeT, oh yeah, give him a t-shirt. I would take the t-shirt and say, listen, I respect you in the game of business, but I will take that t-shirt and throw it right in the trash. Not in front of his face, it's just disrespect. You accept the gift. But I wouldn't, listen. It's just certain people in the world I feel that you should never take money from or anything from. And a guy like that is Floyd Mayweather. Why? It's because when you get on his bad side, he takes everything away. Would you want to live a life where everyone around you says yes, you know no one's genuine feelings, you just get everything you want? Isn't that the life of a child? Isn't that adolescence? Like, what is that? And people say, all you do is gossip. You don't talk about boxing. But in essence, I believe I'm probably Floyd Mayweather's #1 video blogging fan. I have the numbers to prove it. I've done countless videos on Floyd Mayweather. I know everything that you know, plus more about him, and also I have inside details and scoops and some things I haven't even talked about. I cover every single Floyd Mayweather fight. I can name all of his fights from when he was 12-0 on up in chronological order, how he won the fights. That's deep research. But of course you're going to think I'm bullshitting. Of course. But see, that's the whole purpose of what I'm getting to. Because someone is rich, because someone has money, do you just believe everything he said? Obama's my president. I'm going to tell you right now, one of the reasons why I voted for him was simply because he was African. I was going to say African American, but whatever. But the fact that he was black. Not only was he intelligent and articulate, but he was black. But when I see him on those news conferences and everything, you think I believe everything he's saying? Because he's the president, he's supposed to be telling the truth. Of course he is. Of course you're supposed to be telling the truth. That's what we're supposed to believe. But when you get a guy like Floyd Mayweather, and let's talk about the fight. When you get a guy like Floyd Mayweather, who came the closest to the most depressing moment of his life in saying that he once had a nightmare that he lost. Imagine Floyd Mayweather taking a defeat with that ego that he has. Imagine him taking a defeat to a guy like Marcos Maidana. This is a fighter who has been a pioneer as far as vocally speaking on cleaning up the sport, drug testing, and you have to give him that. Floyd Mayweather, even though Olympic-style drug testing isn't really Olympic-style drug testing, I do my research. In fact, there's really no such thing as Olympic-style drug testing, but I do my research, you do yours. But what I want to say is you're probably wondering why he's swaying back and forth. Everything I do is for a reason. But what I want to say is that why with this man who tells us that he don't want to fight certain fighters for whatever reasons because it's about his health, You know, he wants to be able to talk and communicate to his kids. When he gets older, he wants to be able to put together articulate sentences, something that he cannot do right now. And people say, he meant to lean on the ropes. He was doing that. He was laying on the ropes to show Marcus Maidana. Now, I want to ask why. Now, let me start off by saying this. Floyd Mayweather is the best defensive boxer I have seen in my life. And I'm talking about that I've experienced in my life and probably of all time. And I'm telling you this on some real humble shit. Floyd Mayweather is a defensive wizard and genius. But despite all of that, I can't overlook the fact that this man is just a weirdo. Do you think I'm a weirdo? This very, very rich man is a weirdo. When you look at the ego trips he's on, when you look at his social media, when you look at in fact, I want to say welcome to T-Street Controversy. I want to say welcome to T-Street Controversy Live. Please subscribe. I talk about boxing. I understand and I have come to terms that I would never work for ESPN or Showtime or an HBO. That's not my goal because that's low. People don't follow dreams anymore. People want to say, oh, I want to get a job and go work for this person and do what that person tells me to do. Nah, I'm done with that part of my life. So when it comes to the things I tell you, I'm telling you things that the other channels, that Showtime in particular, they can't talk about. Now, these things I talk about, you can go out there and find out on your own. But as far as the service I provide, people say you're doing this just for views, you're bashing a man's name. And yeah, I've heard it all through my 3+ years on YouTube. But what I'm saying is that I provide a service, and the service I provide is making sure I relay all the information I learned, that I make sure I put countless hours in per week to portray back to you as far as the research about what's going on in the fighters' camps, what's the news, what's the gossip, what type of shape they're in, the personal trainers and the conditioning coaches, and we're going to get to that. So what I'm going to do is, in about the next 3 minutes, I'm going to wrap up this part of the video, and then we're going to start talking about the actual fight. But when you look at a guy like Floyd Mayweather, when you look at the character, you can think to yourself that, man, he could be so much more if he wasn't just a dickhead. You know, you get what I'm saying? Like, this man could really, this is the most powerful man in the sport of boxing. But, like Nelly said, oh, excuse me, it's kind of hard to talk to a man who didn't graduate from high school. People don't want to talk about it because they like, let the brother live. But this is a man who children look up to, who people look up to in general. More importantly, whatever you decide, or despite what you think about me involved in this video, I do as well. I don't want to see him go broke. When he got out of jail, he was humble. He was a cool, humble dude, wasn't he? You know, then he went back to his old, you know, ways and the Miss Jackson thing and the abortion. And you think, like, how does this guy keep getting a pass? On top of the countless times he put his hands on his women. Now, something like that, you can say Manny Pacquiao did steroids. I'll tell you right here, right now, maybe Manny Pacquiao did steroids. Do I believe, listen to me, do I believe that at one point in time Manny Pacquiao may have been on performance-enhancing drugs during his center Pacquiao days, when he was an adulterer, when he was a dirty sinner, a gambler, cockfighting, drinking Hennessy? I believe Manny Pacquiao could have used performance-enhancing drugs. But however, there is no proof. It's all rumor, it's all speculation. But when it comes to Floyd Mayweather as being a woman beater, and I can't go into detail on how deeply that affects me, because in my life, I'm dealing with some things that I experienced during my childhood. You know, that when it comes to somebody beating a woman, you know, it kind of cuts me deep. right now, listen, the controversy involved in the fight. Will Marcos Maidana be able to use his gloves? If you don't know right now, Floyd Mayweather's right. He's a side. When it comes to picking the gloves, he should have the right to pick the gloves. But at the same time, you have to think like, well, where is that competitive edge that everyone wants Floyd to have? And we're not talking about him picking those horsehair gloves. I did a video on that over on the Internal Arena. Go check it out. Those horsehair gloves that didn't have the padding on the knuckles. We're talking about horsehair gloves, MX gloves, period. Those are the gloves that Marcos Maidana uses in every fight. Every fighter has a preference when it comes to the gloves they like to use during that fight. Floyd Mayweather will not allow him to use those gloves. There's been rumors and speculation that Marcos Maidana received an extra $1 million plus, and they're saying over $1 million, to not use his gloves for the Floyd Mayweather fight. He got paid extra money. Now, boxing, remember, it's a sport I love, but boxing is still dirty, and there's still a lot of shit that goes on behind the scenes. You know that fans may or may not believe. You know, but dirty shit is still happening. But when I was watching that fight, I'm watching Marcos Maidana's punches, and I'm watching those orthopedic Mayweather gloves because Mayweather has brittle hands. His hands break easily. Last fight, his hand broke most notably against Rapper T.I. So he wears a special type of custom-made orthopedic gloves that is foam, but is a somewhat more advanced technology than regular orthopedic gloves because it has a special, I'm gonna put a shock resistance to them, which in turn may protect your hands but limit your power. Floyd Mayweather has 26 knockouts. His last in-action significant knockout was against Ricky Hatton. I don't count the Victor Ortiz one because that was, well, you know. I'm talking about like when it was like it was a counter punch. You know, it was in the heat of the action, not Victor Ortiz, a little bit of a cheap shot, but it wasn't his fault. Protect yourself at all times, Victor Ortiz. But with the issue with the gloves, Marcos Maidana not having the power, and then Floyd Mayweather talking about, well, the Floyd Mayweather team, that's why he was knocking everybody out because he was using gloves with no padding. That's propaganda. That is propaganda right there. Now, when it comes to Floyd Mayweather in the personal aspect, if you know, the fight does not have an undercard right now. Right now is August the 10th, 2014, in about 34 days, if I'm correct. They're supposed to be in the ring. Floyd Mayweather versus Marcos Maidana. The event is starting a whole hour earlier than normal, so expect for Floyd Mayweather and Marcos Maidana to be in the ring a whole hour earlier, but no undercard has been announced yet. There's rumors. Keith Thurman himself has come up with some mysterious, questionable shoulder injury, and remember they were talking about him fighting Marcos Maidana. It was rumored he was going to fight Marcos Maidana on the card. Marcos Maidana said that if he wasn't getting Floyd Mayweather a rematch, that he was going to retire temporarily to go be with his cows. Marcos Maidana made a lot of money, and he's got a farm and some cows. So just no undercard. So I asked a question on my Facebook: will this fight sell without an undercard? And I think so. The last fight was rumored to do somewhere between 850,000 to 1 million buys. I'm just saying 1 million buys. I believe I know the number. The number's been thrown around there, but Leonard Ellaby, and shout out to the Boxing Voice for the video, the exposing video they did with him, with Leonard Ellaby with that goddamn goatee. Leonard Ellaby was talking about, I have the numbers in my bag right now, and I can show you. I know that they were more than 850 or whatever the number was we were talking about. Then you got Steven Espinoza that had a Showtime Boxing, Showtime Sports in general, saying, well, no, that's a lie. But then they don't release the official numbers and say, listen, shut the fuck up, we did good numbers. But yeah, you release the Canelo numbers because you know why? Because when a fight is a huge success like that, between 1.8 and 2.4 million pay-per-view buys, I know the number. So I'm just throwing, ranges out there. You announce those numbers because it's a big celebration. Like, yeah, you get the champagne out. But when it's something like less than expectations or right there, okay, we know it's going to do that at the low end. Why release the numbers officially? You know, it's nothing to celebrate about. You know, but if it did like 1.3, 1.4, 1.5, Marcus Maidana, excuse me, Floyd Mayweather versus Marcus Maidana in the first fight, then you announce the numbers. So we talked about the gloves, the marketability of the fight. When it comes to Floyd Mayweather's personal life and outside the ring, when you look at the altercation with the rapper T.I. and the restaurant Fat Burger in Las Vegas, where some punches were being thrown, and it was because Floyd Mayweather was a little too close to another man's wife. Now remember, Floyd Mayweather's a guy who on one episode of All Access, I believe it was All Access episode 1 or 2, with Mayweather versus Maidana, the first one, is that he said he don't understand marriage because he didn't grow up in a home like that, which I thought was one of the most ignorant things he could have ever said. You know, is that he don't know how to just be with one woman. And remember, this man who was a man who was engaged to the glorious and alluring, beautiful Miss Jackson. And people say, oh, you know, and I'm going to use what they're saying. I'm going to use the terminology, so earmuffs, 3, 2, 1. They say, man, fuck that bitch. That bitch aborted his babies. Like, what kind of dumbass, nut-ass bitch is that? Now, I used a movie scene from The Godfather Part 2 when Michael Corleone and Kay, his wife, she aborted his baby because she said she didn't want to bring that evil into the world. I'm not going to quote the whole scene, but the point I'm trying to make is I commend that woman to a certain extent, but I don't forgive, abortion, I don't forgive abortion in any way, shape, or form. But the fact that she told that man no and saying, listen, you're going to be dealing with all these other women, you know, and then I'm going to be pregnant with your baby while you disrespecting me and I got your twins too. You know, whatever the case may be, she told him no when she heard him deep. I was talking about that. People were like, man, and this was in the past. I was like, he don't give a fuck about that bitch and all that. And I'm slowing down with the profanity, I know. But I'm trying to portray to you that I've been following this whole thing. This is what I do. It's kind of like a job. Well, it is a job, actually. So many distractions out the ring. Most recently, and I'm going to play it for you. I'm going to play it for you because you got to listen. This is what you have to listen to. This is what you have to listen to. So, what we're going to listen to is the Mayweather saying that he slept with T.I.'s wife, Tiny. So just listen, guys.
To put this fight together again. He do have a remarkable team. I take my hat off to his team. He do have a remarkable team. But of course, this is about entertainment. And like I said, I'm not making this.
Listen carefully.
By not doing the right things, I know what I'm doing. So of course, like I said before, bring it to the big dance again, once again. I mean, please, I'm gonna have sex after my fight is over. Please don't forget my game. No homo. No homo. She was touching my dick more than my woman was.
Just listen.
I mean, I just think about how I've been in this sport. About 18 years.
All right, listen, I'm going to fast forward. listen. Listen. I don't have to, I know, I apologize. I didn't, have it fully prepared. But basically, a fan at the media tour press conference, said, what about T.I? Floyd Mayweather replies, like this, scratching his nose a little bit, and says, what about the bitch? I was fucking his bitch. But then he cleaned it up on social media and said, no, people think I was fucking this bitch. But what I'm getting to is, just recently, just a couple days ago, you got a video with him, with him getting a sponge bath. He's naked in the tub, and one of his assistants, payroll, money team, is scrubbing him down. Now remember, these are the things that nobody's going to talk about. These are the things that the big name media guys, they can't talk about. But as I said earlier in the video, it's like, how are we condoning this type of activity? And with the type of things this man has been doing, he is the face of boxing. And that's one of the reasons why I can't stand rich people like that. Rich people that grew up entitled because they didn't go, Floyd Mayweather has earned his money and his fortune through hard work and dedication. Easy work. TBE. He earned it. But when it comes to the role model he is and the person he is, as he portrays himself to be, because he can be a whole different person off the camera. And I'm not saying that he's not, but the person he portrays himself to be, it's like, why do you go that far? And you're selling fights, I understand. But it's just something not right about it. But listen, if you don't know who I am, you're going to know who I am really soon, because now this is a whole different channel, a brand new one, my own solo venture. I'm up all night, almost every night, doing videos on boxing. I want to say welcome to T-Street Controversy. I want to say go check out my older videos on Enter the Arena. Just type in Enter the Arena US, type in T-Street Controversy. You're going to see, my face on multiple channels. And I want you to get on board of this because, see, we're in a situation where Mayweather is supposed to have this surprise for May of 2015. We don't know what the surprise is going to be. He's hinting, well, fans are saying, oh, it's going to be Pacquiao. But then when you got Arum and Oscar De La Hoya wanting to put on Canelo versus Cottle on that same weekend, you have to be realistic and think like, well, wait a minute, is it really Pacquiao? I'm thinking it's going to be him fully launching Mayweather Promotions under his own brand, fully and all that. But this is just my opinion. I'm not going to sit here for 30 minutes because already this is already longer than an actual episode of All Access. But I want to say once again, I do the work for you. Information, please, links are right below. I want to say check out Real Combat Media. So if you want to know the inside scoop on what's going on actually in boxing, the articles are there, the interviews are there, everything you need to keep up, the media calls are there. And then on my end, I'm the one who watches all the fights, keeps up with all the, like I said, news, gossip, rumors, everything going on in training camp. Like I didn't even get to talk about how he got knocked down in sparring, that rumor. But it's sparring, and everything like that. We heard about before with Errol Spence, things happen in sparring sometimes. It's not the real fight. But as time goes on, just trust and know that there's going to be a lot more Mayweather versus Maidana videos coming. And we're going to cover every single basis because I can be on here for an hour or 2 hours, just keep talking. I'm not going to do it. But I want to say welcome to T-Street Controversy. This is T-Street Controversy Live.